being recorded.
Hi, my name is Jane Limbach, and I have the privilege of introducing today's webinar, Excellent Teachers and Involved Parents, a Recipe for Student Success, along with the topic, Learning Beyond the Core, including Service Learning Mission Mindedness. Today's webinar will feature a best practice at St. Michael's Lutheran School. This webinar was prepared by our friends at St. Michael's and also is being produced by Concordia University, Wisconsin's Office of Continuing and Distance Education. We thank our friends at Concordia for their leadership and support in this endeavor. I have just a few notes before we begin our webinar. Live webinars are participatory events. We appreciate your questions and your comments. Please feel free to express yourself by typing in the chat box in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. All of the webinars presented this year are available on demand on the login page of the Lutheran School portal. You do not need to be a portal member to view them. If you would like what is shared, we invite you to view a recorded webinar together with your faculty. This is a great opportunity for professional development. Another great resource of Lutheran Schools is the LCMS School Ministry Facebook page. Our Facebook page provides another opportunity for our school to connect informally. We invite you to share your encouraging stories on the LCMS School Ministry Facebook page. Let's begin our webinar with prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we acknowledge you as our Savior and our King and give you thanks for the opportunity to serve you in our various schools. We thank you for all of our Lutheran schools, but especially we give you thanks for St. Michael's. We thank you for blessing the school with a fantastic staff who work hard to draw children and their families into a closer relationship with their Savior, Jesus Christ. We ask that you would continue to shower your blessings upon St. Michael's. Give the staff all that they need to teach the students entrusted in their care. And finally, Lord, we ask that you be with those who are presenting this webinar, as well as those who are participating in this webinar. May this next hour be a blessing to all. In your name we pray, amen. We welcome Mike Reinhardt from St. Michael's Lutheran School as he shares the webinar, Excellent Teachers and Involved Parents, a Recipe for Student Success, and Learning Beyond the Core, including Service Learning and Mission Mindedness. Mike?
Thank you, Jane, and welcome. It's a privilege to be speaking with you today. For those of you who aren't familiar with St. Michael, we are located in southwest Florida, about 2 hours south of Tampa, and it's about 2 hours across the state for us to get over to the Miami-Fort Lauderdale area. We appreciate the honor that we've been given here as being recognized as an exemplary school, and we are humbled by that. We know there are many Lutheran schools across the country that are innovating and are excelling in a variety of ways, and in response to our selection for the recognition, we humbly share some practices that were identified by our visiting team in the hope that they may affirm or inspire the ministry of some others of you. Hopefully something that you see or hear here might spark a conversation within your faculty or with another administrator and lead you to perhaps explore some new possibilities for your ministry. We actually have 4 different topics that we have been asked to share information on today. One has to do with the whole area of professional development, and a second portion of the webinar will deal with parent communication and involvement. Then we'll spend a little time talking about learning beyond the core curriculum. And finally, as an extension of that, mission-mindedness and service learning. I'm going to address the topics in the order that you see here. So if you are someone who is viewing this as an archived webinar rather than listening live, and if you're mainly interested in one particular area, feel free to go ahead and skip ahead to the area that's of interest to you. So we begin with the first of our 4 topics, professional development. I think we could all agree that quality teachers are the lifeblood of our schools and something that we all value very highly. Occasionally we are blessed enough to be able to acquire an excellent teacher, but most of the time we are tasked with developing outstanding teachers, and that's an ongoing process. And so all of us are engaged in developing our faculty members individually and collectively. In this regard, the following areas were identified by our visiting team as potentially replicable best practices for us to share with you. The utilization of the QNet program, the granting of professional freedom, incorporating design continual development into your yearly planning, and the partnership that we have developed with Florida Gulf Coast University. I mentioned that we are located in Southwest Florida, this part of the country being far from Lutheran strongholds and from the various Concordias. It's not easy for us to attract synodically trained teachers to come to be part of our school, and we have even found at times that if we do attract them to come, they may feel like they want to return closer to home, closer to family, and so on. So that has been an issue for us for many years. On the other hand, on the plus side, we have found many local Christian educators who are quality educators and who resonate to the mission that we have and are very much buying into the vision that we have for our school. So for these teachers, we found that the online QNet program can be a great asset. And perhaps even for some of you that are in the Midwest or wherever you might be located, the trends seem to be that there are less and less rostered teachers that are available, and that more and more there is a need for bringing new teachers into our staff. So hopefully this is something that may be beneficial to a number of you and not just those that are in more remote areas. You may be somewhat familiar with the QNet system, or some of you may be hearing about it for the first time, but it is set up by the Concordia University system, and you see here the 2 tracks that are available. A student can take either what's called the paper track or the portfolio track. You'll notice that both of those entail basically the same courses. The paper track culminates with more of a major paper at the end of the course of studies, whereas the portfolio track, they do a series of papers along the way in the different courses rather than one big culminating paper. Both of these tracks, whichever way you do it, provide a great grounding in the scriptures, in doctrine, and in understanding the role of the Lutheran teacher. And we found them to be invaluable in equipping our non-synodically trained teachers and in enabling us to be a true Lutheran school here in Southwest Florida. Now, a couple of things that we have found, and that some of you may know as roadblocks, that I'd like to point out and possible solutions to go along with them. This is, number one, a pretty rigorous undertaking for a teacher. The school, we feel, is wise to do whatever you can to lighten the load of the teacher in terms of extracurricular duties and so on during the period of time that they would be involved in going through the QNet process. The entire 8 classes could be taken within 1 calendar year, and we have had teachers do that, but that is a pretty aggressive and heavy load. Most teachers probably would find it easiest to take the courses over a 2-year span. And again, you as an administrator can hopefully help them to have less additional duties perhaps during the time that they are taking the coursework in order to make it more feasible. The QNet program allows a maximum of 40 months for completion, so it can be spread out even over a little more than 3 years if you wish to do that. I mentioned that another possible roadblock would be the expense. I believe the entire cost now is a little bit over $6,000 for the program, and it's a pay-as-you-go, of course, with each course. So for a teacher to come up with that money on their own in advance sometimes may be difficult. And again, we've found it is helpful to do what you can to help them along in that financial end of the process. We've used scholarship monies in order to front money to teachers that they can pay back. And we've also tied the completion of the QNet program to our salary scale so that teachers know that once they complete the coursework, they will be getting a raise, which can then, within a couple years' time, offset the expenditure for the courses. So you may consider both of those ideas. Number one, fronting some money, and number two, putting some financial reward to go along with the completion of the coursework as an incentive and as a reward. It certainly is worth it from the school standpoint to have them have this training, so I think there's no difficulty in justifying the expense as far as the school is concerned. To date, we at St. Michael have had 19 teachers go through the program. The majority of them were not Lutherans, and so they did not complete the colloquy process and become rostered, but those that are Lutheran, we have actually had go to the Concordia campuses and complete the colloquy process. So that's the first area of professional development that we were going to share. Lutheran training, particularly for those who come from other backgrounds. The second area that we're going to talk about a little bit is the idea of professional freedom. St. Michael promotes a culture that permits and encourages teachers to initiate pilot programs and to take planned risks with their instruction. This would include things such as utilizing resources beyond the textbooks, using new technology, flipping lessons, employing project-based learning in their classrooms, things of that nature. So I'm going to offer here just a few examples of programs that we have found in our piloting, trial and error, if you want to call it that, that we have found to be very worthwhile and would commend to your consideration. And website information is listed along with each of these as well. The first one that you see there is the Brain Pop program, and this started as one of those areas that one teacher wanted to explore, and so they did it on a trial basis, and then other teachers became jealous that they also would like to have the capability to do that. And so it grew from a one classroom trial to something that is being used by the majority of teachers in our school at this point. Once you subscribe to BrainPop, it can be used in the classroom, can be used on mobile devices, and it can be used at home. So students have the capability of using it away from school as well as at school. We find it to be engaging. There are animated movies, there's learning games, there's interactive quizzes, there's primary source activities, concept mapping, and as you can see there in the left-hand column, topics within a wide range of subject areas are included: science, math, social studies, English language, arts, technology, engineering, music, health, reading and writing. All those are part of the assortment of activities that are available through BrainPop. The content is mapped to Common Core. It's aligned with academic standards, and there is a searchable online standards tool so that you can locate activities that would be related to particular standards that you are trying to teach. This is something that is available through pricing that the LCMS has arranged. I believe our yearly rate is about $1,800 for an unlimited usage by all of our students. The second program that I was going to mention today is also one that is available through the Lutheran School portal at a discounted rate, Discovery Education. It's also cross-curricular and also tied to standards. We found it to be very engaging and helpful in encouraging student creativity, critical thinking, and collaboration. There are two tiers available to the subscriptions on this: the regular Discovery Education streaming, and then what I have noted here is what they call the Streaming Plus. I believe we pay about $2,000 for our school of a little under 400 students for unlimited usage for 1 year. Moving away from specific programs for a moment and thinking about other types of professional freedom, the flipped classroom concept is one that's gaining popularity, and we've definitely found that there are some distinct advantages to employing it. At the bottom of the screen, there's a screen capture from one of our teachers' web pages, and it kind of explains the process as we're using it in 5th grade science. So you see kind of step by step, it is blended learning. At first they watch a video at home, and the video has with it some questions for them to answer, so the instructor does know that they have indeed viewed the video. And there is, in most cases, also the opportunity for online discussion between students. When they come to school the next day, then that will be followed up in the classroom, whether it be with some lecture, whether it be with some hands-on demonstration, discussion between students. All of those things are possibilities the day following the viewing of the video. So if you're not familiar with the concept, basically instead of introducing something in class, it's first being introduced at home, and then in class you can develop what was introduced. Because it's in a video format, we do find that the students normally do want to look at the videos. And so unlike the stigma that the word homework sometimes carries in terms of written work and so on, they're usually pretty willing to view the videos and sometimes even will work ahead if that option is available to them and if those videos have been made available in advance. The final thing that I'm going to mention in this section about professional freedom is the whole idea of project-based learning in general. It's another approach that's becoming more and more widespread. In the third segment of the webinar, when we talk about learning beyond the core, I'm going to talk about more of the ways that we're using project-based learning at St. Michael. But for now, I was going to mention this one particular example. St. Michael is a Project Learning Tree green school using their environmental education program. And that is something that we're involved with from preschool through 8th grade. So you see the screenshot of their web page there, and you note at the bottom left of the screen there are curriculum materials that you can look at. There's professional development materials. You see reference in the bottom middle to service learning opportunities for students. So initially, when we were involved with this, it was mainly from the ecology standpoint, but it has become much broader than that and really relates to project-based learning with all kinds of areas of science, not just ecology. The third part of our discussion of professional development has to do with, as a school, what is your design in terms of continual development for the teachers? So all of us are, in one way or another, of course, active in trying to continually help our teachers to grow. Some of that is on an individual basis, but much of it is collectively. And like us, you probably have your district conference that you may take the whole staff to. Various members of the staff may attend certain outside conferences relating to technology or music or mathematics or whatever their particular interest is. But here we're talking about what we do on site. And so at St. Michael, we have designated 17 days as a minimum each year that we use on site for professional days and for opportunities for learning. This slide shows a few of the books and so on that we base some of our discussions on, but those days are used for a wide range of things. In terms of scheduling, just to give you an idea of how we have set this up, before school begins, we always have a minimum of 5 days of meetings. And at the end of the school year, as we kind of wind down and look back at the year and start looking ahead to the next year, we have 5 days. But during the course of the school year, we also set aside 7 more days throughout the year. So in our case, we set aside 3 professional days during the month of October. And as you can see, this year those will be coming up the last week of October. We've put those on the calendar in conjunction with either our Florida Georgia District Educators Conference or with parent-teacher conferences, so that one way or another there is an entire week that the students are off from school and we are doing professional development for the 3 days that we're on campus. In the middle of the year then, in February, we incorporate those days with President's Day. So you can see in this coming February, President's Day will be Monday the 15th. So the remainder of that week, we will be in professional development. For the students, this is what they have come to think of as their winter break. It's a time when families often plan vacations. Those that like to escape Florida's beautiful weather and maybe go skiing or experience snow in some form or another often will schedule time away during that week that they know that we will be involved in professional development. During these days, administrators and presenters from outside agencies lead the staff in exploring new ideas, in honing their teaching skills in one way or another. Also, this is a time then when faculty members would share their experiences with their colleagues if they've been involved in some kind of a pilot program. They then would be sharing with the other faculty members how that's going, what the benefits have been, possible pitfalls, and so on. And likewise, if we have sent them to some kind of individual conferences that we mentioned before, this would be a time when they would come back then and share what they've learned that could be applied for others. So it might be something that's been picked up in terms of new technology that's available, or it could be something that is relative to a specific subject area or a certain style of teaching. So the teachers also are great teachers of one another during these days as well. Finally, the last area that we want to discuss as far as professional development is concerned is the partnership that we have with Florida Gulf Coast University's College of Education. We've developed a strong working relationship with them. The school is about 15 miles from our campus, so it's an easy commute for their students. Initially, we had members of their staff come to one of our meetings for several days and train our teachers to be ready to receive interns and to supervise them. And then since then, we have had multiple interns each year working in our classrooms. We have had a couple Concordia students through the years as interns, but because, once again, of the great distance that we have from the various Concordias, that hasn't been a very practical thing. So it's been, this has given us an opportunity to have several interns per year at various levels in our school. The benefits to us, of course, this has sharpened our faculty's teaching skills through mentoring, and it also continually exposes them to the most recent practices being taught at the university. Our students, of course, are winners in this. They benefit both from the contact with the interns and from the growth of our teachers. Over the course of the last few years, it has built to the point that one of our faculty members has actually become recognized by the university as an in-service supervisor, and so she now oversees the process within our school of all the interns that are there. So we think that there are many Lutheran schools that are not located near Concordia that could probably benefit from this model, and we encourage you to perhaps seek out relationships that you might be able to build with local colleges or universities and begin to benefit as we have. That is the end of the first portion of the webinar dealing with professional development. And so we're going to move on to our second topic, which has to do with parent communication and involvement. We recognize that families had many choices when deciding on a school for their children, and that we can only carry out our mission if parents are happy with their program and partner with us and recommend St. Michael to others. Two nights before the first day of school, we begin building the partnership with parents for the back-to-school event. Everyone enjoys an assortment of appetizers and desserts while freely moving around the gym and catching up with returning teachers and parents and getting acquainted with those that are new. The second phase of the evening then shifts to the church building, where we begin with prayer and a blessing. We introduce all the staff. We disseminate vital information about the new school year, and we share with them the many volunteer opportunities that are available. The night then concludes with visits to the classrooms, where they have time with each of the teachers to share with them specific information about their classes, and they also talk to them about the forms of communication that will be utilized. And those channels of communication are part of what the visiting team asked us to share a little bit about. The first would be, of course, teacher web pages. Each teacher can keep their parents and students up to date on what's happening in the classroom and school, and the web page provides kind of a depository for information that's available whenever needed. This happens to be one of our kindergarten websites, and you can see some of the types of information that are available there. And this is part of one of the fifth grade websites. The websites are what we would consider to be passive forms of information. As I said, the information is always there and available, but it's up to the parent to initiate seeking that out. It's not something that we are putting in front of them. Another passive form of communication that we use is an online calendar through mychurchevents.com. This is actually a shared calendar between church and school. All the church events are on there, all the school events are on there, and there are drop-down menus so that people can select what they're interested in looking at. So if they want to see just church events, they can see that. If they want to see school-wide events, they can look at that. If they want to look at a particular classroom, they can drill down to that level. So what I have captured here in this screenshot is part of a sixth grade homeroom showing the assignments for those students. In middle school, of course, the students are moving from class to class and teacher to teacher. So this is kind of a central depository where all of the different teachers that teach the children in this sixth grade homeroom can place their assignments, and students or parents then can access this from home and check to make sure that they're up to date on what the nightly assignments are, and they can also look ahead a few days and see what kind of tests or quizzes or projects might be coming due in the next few days. Class newsletters are a familiar form of communication and can be a timely resource for parents. This is an example of a fourth grade newsletter from last spring. And here is a recent third grade newsletter. Rather than just posting these, on the website or sending printed copies home, which may or may not be seen by the parents, we mass email these using the personal newsletter service Tiny Letter. And we do the same in terms of school-wide updates, sending a weekly mass email using Tiny Letter to all the parents. This is a free service, and basically you just have them subscribe, put in their email address, and they will get the weekly blast from the school and the weekly blast from the teachers. And if there happen to be any special blasts that are being sent out between the normal weekly ones, once again, they will automatically be sent to their emails. Another free service that we make a lot of use of is the Remind app, which was initially called Remind 101. Now it's just called Remind. With the Remind app, teachers can send out short mass updates via text messaging, or as you see there, if parents prefer to have it go to their email instead of their text account, it can be directed to their email account as well. Because it's mainly devised for text messaging, it is best used for just short messages, but you can put in their links. So often a teacher or administrator may put a link to one of the Tiny Letter blasts in there, or a link to the website that parents can follow if they wish. But these are good for timely reminders. As a teacher or as an administrator, you can set up various groups. So for an example, a middle school teacher could have a group of their homeroom parents as one group, and then they might have another group for students that are in a different grade, a different homeroom, so that they can send blasts to whichever group or groups they would apply to. As an aside, we also find this very useful between administrators and the faculty. If the administrators have a group containing the faculty members, then a quick mass text can be sent to all of them during the school day or at night as a reminder for something for the following day. So all of these forms of parent communication that we've been discussing are basically group type things for the entire list of parents. Of course, there's individual emails, individual phone calls, and so on that also take place between teachers and parents and are very important as well. The visiting team asked us to share a model that we use related to those kinds of individual phone calls and emails, the 24/7 4814 model. One of the frustrations that parents have, and you perhaps have had the same frustration dealing with people at times as well, is to leave a voicemail or send an email and then not get any response. So the first part of this model is that it's imperative that some kind of response be made within the first 24 hours. And we really strive to make it the same day if possible. So you may not have a solution to their question or problem right away, but at the very least you can get back to them and let them know that you have received their message, you're aware of their concern, and that you will follow up with them within the next day. And so the second step there is within 48 hours that we want to get back with them and we will have developed a plan, and we will communicate to them what the plan is to address their concern. And So this may be a dialogue where the plan is being formulated somewhat together, or it could be a case where the teacher has developed the plan and then is sharing it with the parents. But by that second day, we would like to have that take place. It's easy to stop at that point and say, okay, we've got a plan, now we are done with that and we can move on to other things. So the next parts of the model are equally important. A week later, we want the teachers to follow up with the parent and take a look at how's it going at this point. From the school end, here's what we've seen over the last week. What have you seen at home? If it's going well, good. If the plan that we made needs some kind of adjustment, then let's adjust it. And then the last part of the plan there, the 14th day, after 2 weeks, we want to follow up one more time and once again make sure that we have reached resolution, and if not, let's cycle back, come up with a new plan, and move forward from there. So this is a one-to-one type of communication model that you may find helpful as you try to work with your parents, and especially as your teachers try to work with your parents. So all the things that we've talked about here in this section of the webinar have mainly been to do with communication. We'd like to talk a little bit also about the idea of the involvement of parents. And this is an important part of the partnership as well. We solicit and welcome parent participation in a variety of ways. You see some of them listed there. Some of those hopefully look familiar to you as things that you do as well. There are many tasks within the classroom that we welcome parents' help with, whether it be listening to a child read, helping with bulletin boards, whatever it might be, taking assigned times in the library to help students and to check out folks, assisting with various types of coaching. We're going to talk a little later in the webinar a little bit more about junior achievement. We utilize parents to teach those units. We, of course, have a parent-teacher league. We utilize parents to be the officers and lead many events throughout the school year that are PTL events. We utilize them in the office center in terms of mass mailings and all kinds of other things. I skipped over the Moms in Prayer group because I wanted to talk about that one in a little bit more detail. This is a group that originally was known as Moms in Touch. They now have changed their name to Moms in Prayer, and you see the web site information there at the bottom left. This is a wonderful organization to get started within your school if you don't already have something similar going on. This organization provides pre-planned little agendas for the moms for each time they meet, and they meet once a week on our campus. You see an example here. The attribute of God that is being talked about in this particular one is God is our Savior, and so there are some scriptures and so on that go along with that. But basically it takes them, as you can see, through praise, through confession, through thanksgiving, and through intercession. And they're all about praying for their own children, praying for all the children of the school, praying for the teachers, the administrators of the school. It's just a very powerful thing. And we were privileged to have some of the moms come to one of our meetings before school started this year and model this for the teachers so the teachers could actually see what they do in a typical meeting. And we encourage classrooms, teachers to submit prayer requests to the moms so that when they meet each week, they have specific concerns that they can lift up in prayer. So you may consider this as something that you might want to think about adding as a way to involve parents in a very positive way in your school. I mentioned earlier that we begin soliciting parent volunteers in our back to school night before school begins. This year we had put together a booklet that contained information about all the different clubs and organizations and so on, and all the different volunteer opportunities. Here you see a couple pages from that booklet. So we had all the parents in the church. They each had these booklets, and they could see all of the different opportunities. We highlighted a few of them verbally and talked about some of them in detail. But basically, we were encouraging all of them to find a way that they could become involved in the school in some fashion. So a lot of the different volunteer opportunities had QR codes by them, as you can see, so that some parents right there on the spot, scanned those in with their phones and were able to sign up in that way. And we also had on the back page of the booklet, you see it kind of talked about there on the Now What section on the right-hand side. We also had a form that they could fill in and turn in that night as far as their volunteer opportunities are concerned as well. So we get a tremendous response from this, and parents feel appreciated and welcome, and at the same time, of course, the students benefit, the teachers benefit. It's a real win-win. One last area to talk about there would just be special opportunities besides all the ongoing opportunities. Teachers also schedule activities to invite and involve parents. Some examples of that in third grade, after they've finished their Laura Ingalls Wilder unit, they have a Pioneer Day, and they have parents volunteering come in and help the children with all kinds of crafts and cooking and things like that to kind of experience pioneer life. And the parents really get into dressing up and being part of that. Some of our grade levels do a reenactment of a Thanksgiving feast and the first Thanksgiving. This picture is from a kindergarten celebration. It's always a little bit more challenging to get dads involved, and so some of the teachers have come up with some creative things to get them to school with their kids. This is an activity called Didgeridoo with Dads that second grade hosts during their study of Australia each year. And it's a lot of fun for the kids and the dads, and just a time to get them together and get the dads on campus and into the school. In addition to the individual events in the classroom, of course, we have several school-wide activities as well. This is from our Fall into Fun festival, which we'll be having again in another week here soon. All kinds of just rides and games and so on for the children. Parents come, take the kids around. Parents take turns manning different booths and activities and so on. And it's just a good time for all of them to be together on our campus. So all in all, we find that parents that are involved in their children's education have a greater understanding of and appreciation for the faculty and the entire school program, and they also enrich our school environment. So we wish God's blessings to you as you strive to partner with parents of your children in the ways that you see fit. That concludes the second part of our webinar. And the third area that we're going to talk about today is learning beyond the core curriculum. Like you, making disciples is our #1 mission, and strong academics runs a close second to that. We were asked by the visiting team to share some of the other experiences that we offer to students in order to broaden their education and to help prepare them for life beyond the classroom. You've no doubt seen many write-ups about 21st century education in one form or another. And one of the models that we've studied emphasizes student skills referred to as the 4 C's: collaboration, creativity, critical thinking, and communication. So I'd like to share a few things that we're doing to address these skills and to broaden and extend our students' educational experiences. The first is the Junior Achievement Program. All students in grades K to 8 learn valuable lessons and experience a program that's led by parents and community members in their classrooms. Students gain measurable insight into community, business, economy, and free enterprise in once-a-week courses that last about 2 months. As you can see, it varies from 5 to 10 weeks according to the unit and the age level of the students. At the bottom of the page there, you'll notice that I included the website if you would like to follow up and get more information from JA. Here's a screenshot of a few of the course offerings for younger students. I don't know how well you can read those. The first one is a grade 3 unit. The second one is a grade 2. Next is one for first grade. The next is 5th grade. There are quite a few courses to choose from, several at each age level. We're unique in our area here in Florida, having committed to using the program in all of our grade levels each year. I would mention, too, that a side benefit of the program is that it's another opportunity to involve parents. The great majority of our JA leaders are parent volunteers, representing, as you can see there from the second last column, a wide spectrum of different occupations. So they get an opportunity to come once a week and be in the classrooms, teach these units to the children. The children really enjoy it, and the parent volunteers really enjoy it as well. So if you would like to follow up, by all means, check that link and take a look at what Junior Achievement may have to offer. Another program that we have used with great success is the Odyssey of the Mind program. It may not be as familiar to people as JA, but it is gaining a lot of popularity across the country. This is a little history of how Odyssey of the Mind came about. Starting on a college campus, and it has filtered down to elementary, middle, high school levels as well through the past several years. It's a program that promotes creative thinking and cooperative problem-solving experiences for students. I know there's a lot of words on the page here, so I tried to highlight some things in blue particularly. It's a lot of fun for the kids, but it also really emphasizes thinking outside the box. So they actually have specific problems to address, and they can choose different categories of problems depending on what they're interested in. And then there are portions that they practice and prepare ahead of time to perform when they go to the competitions. And then there's other parts of the competition that are impromptu, where they get a prompt while they're there, and they have just a short amount of time in order to improvise and come up with some kind of a solution to the problem. So it really does get kids thinking and exploring possibilities. They learn to just throw ideas out without judging them, and then see what they can grab onto and what might work. It's a very interesting process to watch. I would say, in addition to the things I already mentioned, team building that's mentioned here, and just plain fun are byproducts of students being involved in the program. We've had teams at various grade levels. You can have only one team at one particular level. You could have multiple teams at multiple levels, just depending on how many students you have interested and how many adults you have interested as well. You need coaches for each group. You can use mentors in addition to the coaches. And for the competitions, you need to get people trained as judges, and they won't judge your own students, but it's part of the process that you need to take judges along to go along with your competing. So the teams can consist of 5 to 7 students. In the younger grades, they're able to have as many as 10. And this, again, is a great opportunity to get parents involved, as well as having teachers as coaches and mentors and judges. Our teams have successfully competed in local competitions, and our middle school teams have been very successful, as you can see the list at the bottom there, in both state and what they call the world competition. They've had the opportunity to travel around the country. These world competitions are generally at different universities across the country. Great opportunities for them to travel, to compete, to meet other kids that are also creative. It's a wonderful opportunity. So, Odyssey of the Mind, another program for you to check out if it's something that you think may fit in your school. Going beyond the core, you're familiar with the STEM concept. It's certainly a popular emphasis everywhere. And we also at St. Michael want our students to grow in those areas. One partnership that has been a great one for us has been with the Edison Sailing Center in our community. And together with them, they've provided resources to develop and carry out an extensive project-based learning curriculum that supplements our middle school science program. And after completing the program, students are able to qualify for the state of Florida and for the national powerboat permits as individuals. So there's a lot of learning that goes on, hands-on learning, project-based learning, and it also carries out then, if they wanted to their personal life as they develop watercraft skills and so on. In addition to that STEM program, we have some competitions in the area that students can participate in. So we've had a STEM team of middle school students going to different competitions in the area. Again, they have an opportunity ahead of time to practice to solve certain types of problems and so on, and then once they get to the meet, to the competition, they compete with others to see who can solve those problems the most effectively and efficiently. like many of you, we have annual science fairs and also inventors fairs. So in 5th grade, the students research. First, they think up a possible invention that they might like to make, and then they research to see if such a thing already exists. Then they will go about trying to make a prototype of their invention and present that. In the middle school, it's the traditional science fair where they would select a problem, research the problem, come up with a hypothesis, then do some experimentation, see what kind of results they come up with afterwards. They present those results both in a visual form and also orally to judges. And those that have the top projects have the opportunity then, of course, to go on to our county and state fairs and win prizes, up to and including several of the students winning college scholarships through that process. Most of those things have been relative to upper grades. In the lower grades, I would commend to your investigation the Engineering is Elementary Curriculum, EIE.org, as you can see there. And that curriculum has 20 types of hands-on type projects for younger students to investigate. Here you see the first part of the listing, and you can see they range all kinds of science, engineering type things, magnetism, electricity, plants and animals, environmental, sound, all kinds of hands-on type activities for younger students to give them an opportunity to, in a project-based way, investigate a lot of the areas of science, technology, engineering, and math. Last but certainly not least, St. Michael also promotes the arts as being a critical component of a well-rounded education. All the students are required to take classes in art and music each year, but beyond that, there are many opportunities for those who'd like to participate in different kinds of public performance groups, visual arts, drama, handbells, band, praise band, vocal music, and so on. One piece of software that I would commend to you for your consideration in the music area would be Smart Music. You can see smartmusic.com there. It's an interactive music learning software that provides feedback for students in either instrumental or vocal groups. Learning is extended when students are able to practice at home and receive immediate feedback by viewing incorrect rhythms and pitches on the screen. So their practice is focused because they receive immediate feedback while they're listening to their performance, and they can see correct and incorrect rhythms and pitches. It allows the teacher to provide students with individualized instruction and customized feedback, helping them to improve quickly. Students are also able to hear their part in context with professional background accompaniment, giving them a pitch and rhythmic reference when practicing at home. And as you can see, it's available for band, for string, and vocal students of any age and skill level, and can be used on a variety of devices. The final component of Learning Beyond the Core brings us to the fourth section of the webinar, which is mission mindedness and service learning. At St. Michael, we teach Ephesians 2:8 and 9, that we are saved by grace through faith as the foundation of our salvation. Well, we also teach verse 10 about faith in action. And this teaching is pervasive in the school culture. We're working to develop a heart for mission and service in our students. Our mission focus really began in earnest over 10 years ago when our congregation and school adopted a sister school in the Dominican Republic, the Genesis School in Santiago. Congregation members visited the school and worked to improve the learning conditions there. Adults and students began to provide the children with personal and educational supplies. Gifts are sent to the children each year at Christmas time with reminders of God's greatest gift in Jesus. Eventually, through church donations, school chapel offerings, and students' participation in Jeans for Jesus Days, a second school was started in Palmar-Arriba that was now named Concordia. So the support of these two schools in the DR remains the #1 focus of our school-wide mission emphasis. And that's something that we keep before the students continually throughout the year. Our students also participate in many local collections each year. For an example, our student government officers and class representatives annually organize a school-wide canned food drive in coordination with both our congregation's Board of Human Care and with the local Salvation Army. So we collect canned goods. Some of them are distributed through our congregation and to congregation members in need, and others are distributed by the Salvation Army through their feeding program. A few years ago, we started the St. Michael Mission Society, which is open to middle school students, and they have the opportunity to participate in annual mission trips to the Orphan's Heart in Guatemala. Students who choose to be part of the society lead a number of fundraisers within the school and the community throughout the year. All students in the school have the opportunity to help fund the trips through activities like Mission Mondays and Witness Wednesdays. And then once a year, the mission team will go down. So here you see our team from a year ago. In addition to those school-wide types of things, each grade level annually adopts a mission project of its own. Projects range from local, national, or international emphases. Examples would include serving as bell ringers for the Salvation Army in December, collecting disposable diapers for unwed mothers, sending packages of supplies to deployed military personnel. Each class chooses each year what they would like their emphasis to be, and then they pursue that throughout the year. In addition to showing love in action, we have one unique local opportunity to witness to our community. It's the annual Fort Myers Edison Parade, which is attended by about 200,000 people each year. Participating parents and children work for weeks to construct and decorate a float, and then students ride during the parade. As you can see, this year's float depicted God's love in the sparing of Noah, his family, and all the animals. So this is a great opportunity for us to get out into the community with the St. Michael name, but especially with the name of Jesus. Through all of our mission and service learning projects, we strive to keep the focus on God's great love for us and for all people, and his desire to love others through us. All Lutheran schools have the opportunity to implement service learning and provide opportunities for children to participate in mission outreach programs. our tiered approach may be helpful to schools that are just starting out with service learning, or perhaps for those who are exploring a deeper involvement at the next level. That brings us to the end of our webinar. I hope that some of the information that we've shared with you will be of help as you strive to make your school all that God intends it to be. If you have follow-up questions on any of these topics, you may email me at the address that you see there, mike.reinhardt@stmichaellutheranchurchandschool.org. Thanks for participating in this webinar, and may God bless you as you serve Him in your locale.
Once again, we thank you, Mike, from St. Michael's for your presentation. And we also want to say thank you to Tom Crace from Concordia, Wisconsin for his help in producing this webinar. Our next NLSA Exemplary School webinar will be on November the 10th when Emmanuel Wentzville will share the best practice greatness in your school community, no matter what your size. Have a blessed day, and as you serve your Lord. Thank you. Thank you, Todd and Mike.
Thank you. No worries, sure.
Todd?
Yes. Yep.
Thank you.
You are very welcome.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, no worries. Any questions, let me know.
Okay.
Okay, thanks a lot, everybody.